volunteering is not just going there and helping people. That's what people basically think about this sort of thing. We use the word volunteering as like, oh, I'm giving my time, I'm giving my time to help these people. It's not really about that. It's about humanity. For me, at least, it's about humanity. Now, it has to be stated, I am completely scientific. I don't believe in God, I don't believe in spirits, I don't believe in energies, I don't believe in any of that kind of mumbo jumbo. No offense. But humanity, scientifically, is social. And if there is somewhere where you can help, if you want to help, then you should help. That's volunteering to any project. It's just like I have some free time, I can either watch a movie, masturbate, play video games, have a drink, whatever, which are fun. But you have some more time that you can give helping your fellow human. In the end, we're all just human beings. I really hate the whole superficial thing of I'm black, I'm Latino, I'm Chinese, I'm whatever the hell you want to be. There are only two kinds of people in this world, dicks or people you can get along with. And that's it, that's all you gotta look for. And when you're helping people, you're not really even thinking about those things because you're not gonna live with them, you're not gonna be the BFFs most of the time. Sometimes yes, a lot of times yes, but most of the time no, let's be honest, it's just like that. Just a person that needs an extra hand. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. It's not about being good, it's not about being Jesus, it's just about being human. So that's for me is the act of a volunteer towards any project that has to do with volunteers. My responsibility area is the garden, and which also includes like recycling and the water system and making sure the chickens are all right, for example. So everything that has to do kind of with nature and the garden in itself. I kind of work with that. To be completely honest, it's something that I have no idea about. Closest I've been in a garden was in a supermarket. So it's kind of, it's a new experience, definitely. I still have no idea what I'm doing. A lot of times I'm screwing up, but I actually enjoy that. I like challenging myself and I like doing things that I'm terrible at it just so I can do it better. Although I have been known to abandon things that I've been constantly bad at, because also I'm very proud and I don't like always screwing up. But this time I can't escape, so I'm gonna have to get better either way. And that's pretty good. I really like my team. I do have to say that I think I was very lucky. And I'm not just saying that like any other interview where people are like, oh, I love everyone I'm surrounded with and all that. Like there are some troubles with every single team that live together. The good thing is that it's a team that when there's trouble, we resolve it. And we respect each other's idiosyncrasies, that's what I like the most. Mainly me, that I have a lot of idiosyncrasies. The main one being that sometimes I just disappear. Because I get a bit overwhelmed being surrounded by people and everything, I kind of just put my headphones and I leave. And my teammates respect that. They are not pushy, they don't try to always insist on doing all sorts of things, or they don't get mad when such thing happens. So for me, it's they're friendly and they're close, but they give me my space. And that's a level of respect that I really like. Because I have met people during my life that when they see someone like me, you're automatically a freak or someone that hates everyone that's around them, because they think that to be in a relationship, whatever it is, friendship or camaradereship or teammate, they have to be stuck to everyone else. So for me, being in a team that actually understands this sort of thing is very important. So I actually do get along with my DIs. I prefer more, but again, it's something I'm gonna have to get used to, the whole being with people relationship and all that. Hopefully in the next few months I can show them how much I appreciate them. While I was volunteering, my first kind of volunteering really was with homeless people. And we used to go around giving them breakfast and stuff like that. And it was very systematic. It was very just, you would go and talk to them. The philosophy was, it's not the breakfast, it's the communication. Because homeless people are treated very badly. they're ignored, they're invisible, there are people that they don't even exist. And that is mental torture, that is actual torture. So what we did was just go there and hang out with them and all that. And I still remember this one time that we went to a park and this guy that was very well dressed, this African man, I think he was from Mozambique or something, and he came to me and asked me for coffee. And he was like perfectly dressed, beautiful suit with his newspaper under his arm. And I told him that was for homeless people. That's when he told me that he was homeless. In that moment, the rest of my group, they decided to move on. They didn't believe him. They were like, oh, that's just another crazy person trying to get free coffee. And I decided to stay there and sit with the guy. Spend the entire afternoon talking about his life, how he got to the point he was, why he was still very well dressed, that sort of thing. And that moment I noticed that a lot of times when you work with people and it becomes mechanical, you forget what you're really doing, which is helping. So there is a point with the whole being prepared. The preparation before going to Africa is because if you're just thrown there and they tell you how to do things, in the moment, you're automatically going to be mechanical. So you're going to be like my team that decided to ignore that fascinating man and keep going because they're like, oh no, he's not poor because he's wearing a suit. So let's go to the other ones that smell bad. Because they become mechanical. They arrived, they were said, go get breakfast, talk a little bit and keep moving. But if you're already prepared before doing that, the mechanical comes naturally. You don't have to force it, you don't have to just do it so you can make sure you do the job right. You automatically do it and you can take enough time to see what's around you. So the preparation, of course, it's also to know how you're going to help the people, like to know what kind of mentality you should have, what kind of things you're going to do. But for me, the most important thing is to help, but not forget to live it. To really be around what is around you. To really not ignore something because it doesn't go within the systematic mark that you've had in your brain previously. So which is why I told the story of that man. It was, he doesn't smell bad and his clothes aren't ripped, so we're not gonna stop. Me, because I'm very curious. I've always been like that. So he told me he was poor and I saw him with a suit. I'm like, okay, you've got a story, I wanna hear it. So I think that for me, that would be the most important part of being prepared. Would be to just enjoying the sunlight, basically, that sort of thing. Yeah, for me, responsible, like part of what I answered before, responsible volunteering is not being truthful to yourself or thinking way too highly about yourself. Like, for example, I volunteer not because I think I can save the world, or nor do I think that I'm better than the other guy, so I'm gonna give him a hand. I volunteer because I feel a responsibility to it. I just feel that there are people suffering and I can do something. Why not? You know, maybe it'll help, maybe not, because sometimes things can go wrong. And that's also something that someone has to be ready for. Mistakes do happen. Irresponsible volunteering. Just basically being a dick. Sorry for the expression. But if you're working with people that already are suffering, you have to be extra careful. Like, when I was studying psychology, and I'm just gonna make a comparison here because this really marked me. I had a history teacher. Because, it was a very complete education. One of the parts was history and society, just to kind of have a global view of the evolution of people. And one day our teacher invited me and some of his favorite students in class. He was very selective about the people he liked and disliked, and so invited us for a beer at the cafeteria. And he sat us down and told us to look around and asked us to think about everyone in our classroom, a classroom of 45 people, give or take. And he told us, think about every single student and think about how many of them would actually be good psychologists. And then we were thinking, well, for me, it was like at least 10% of the 100% that was in the classroom would be good psychologists. The rest, honestly, I couldn't say that they would. And after a few seconds of people thinking, he just looked at it and said, no, those people are gonna ruin a lot of lives, because psychology is a very serious business. If you have someone that has a big issue and you make it worse, you can completely ruin a life through that. Now, volunteer is not that extreme, of course. But volunteering is to help people that are already being tortured, they're already suffering. So you have to be ready, you have to be patient, and you have to do your job. Which means you have to be logical, you have to be emotionally balanced, or at least with that sort of thing, emotionally balanced. And you have to know what you're doing. And being irresponsible for me in this sort of thing would be if you go there thinking that it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. If you go there thinking that you're the best and that's how you can do it, or if you go there thinking I have to prove that I'm a good person. So, because then that will affect what you're doing to these people, and they're already suffering. They don't need someone there that says he's gonna help and then screws up a bit more. It's not something that they need. If you're not ready, just stay in your house. Or do this sort of program, like go, get prepared, see what it's about. If you see you don't like it, go back home. If you see that you're ready, then you can go. Well, I think that would be my answer to that. Nothing is done without a little bit of selfishness. That's basic human nature. I cannot think that human beings are completely good nor completely bad. That's just a mistake. Let's eliminate both possibilities. So when you do volunteering, yeah, you get some. You feel good. You have a warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart saying, oh my God, I just helped this one person. Like when I started out, for me, it was every day I would just go with a smile, and it was amazing. I'd see these people, I heard people crying, I saw people hugging me. Every morning I just go, see the same people. Every Sunday morning, 7 a.m. I'd wake up to make the coffee and go there. And I feel great. 1 month after, it was a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass. It was Sunday morning, like 7 a.m. on a Sunday in winter, having to make the coffee and go give coffee to these people. It reached a point where it was like that. I kept doing it because it was the right thing to do for me. And I still did enjoy it. But it does come to a point where one has to admit that there are things that are bothersome. So when it comes to volunteering, yeah, you start out feeling really great about yourself. But it has to reach a point where if you don't feel great about yourself, but you still do it because it makes you happy. It makes you happy in the way that you're doing the right thing within your morality, within your ethics, within whatever it is that you believe in. And the give, for me, the give is bigger. Because yeah, I was a 13-year-old kid. When I was doing the homeless thing, I was 16. And I'd feel great, I'd feel happy, but those people, they had someone that treated them like human beings. That, most of us cannot understand how it really feels to be completely alienated by society, to be completely discarded by everyone. So I cannot compare my teenage happiness of feeling like I'm a good person kind of stuff with someone having a group of people sitting with them, having breakfast with them, laughing with them, and hearing their story. Or when I was in New York working with old people who were abandoned by their families, and they'd have like their surrogate grandson, and they would laugh, they would smile, and for them that was the entire world. So I really believe that in volunteering, you give more. You personally don't give so much because you don't have to do too much. Like the much that we have to do is to change the world so this sort of thing don't happen. But when you're actually working specifically in one thing, you're not doing that much. Let's be honest, someone that works at McDonald's 24/7 and gets nothing of money, that is giving too much of themselves. But volunteering is just giving someone a hug can mean the world to them. So I think that the balance is pretty different, one from the other, yeah. When I saw this program offered a 3 months preparation, that's what caught my attention. Because sure, I studied psychology a bit, I've been a volunteer and all that, but it's a completely different ballgame when you go in the middle of Africa or South America in towns that barely even have access to water and not knowing really what to do. So when I saw that this program offered these 3 months of preparation, I thought, it's worth it. I don't want to go blind, I don't want to go with the knowledge that I have, which is European volunteer work, which is a different sort of thing that you can apply. Like you can apply a lot of the basic philosophies, a lot of the basic knowledge, but I would rather be more prepared when I go. I'd have to say that the thing that most, again, pardon my French, but the thing that most pisses me off is the treatment of women, mainly. Like, I'm very logical. Well, I do say I'm a feminist, but I always specify I'm second-wave feminist based on Simone de Beauvoir's teachings, because she was a phenomenologist. I think I'm pronouncing the word right. And so it was very logical behind it. And feminism in itself includes the freedom of every single human being. So as a movement, it's pretty much based on that. Nowadays, there's a lot of debate, a lot of fighting, a lot of insults towards feminism. Some feminists that don't even like trans people. So those are kind of against what feminism actually would be. But I'm not gonna go into that minefield because yeah, I don't really want the YouTube channel or Facebook channel to kind of attack me from every side. But the greatest problem in the world is that it's how can 52% of the world population cannot walk down the street safely? Any country you're in, the rate of rape, of mistreatment, of slave work, of prostitution is another moral debate, but yeah, let's add it because generally most prostitutes are obligated to be prostitutes. All those sort of things fall on women. So for me, it's just mind-boggling how independently from the culture you're in, women are always gonna get the sharp end of the stick. Independently. And then you see on the internet, these guys are like, oh yes, but when we get divorced, we give all the money, or oh, but we don't get the custody of the kids. Oh, but yeah, okay, yeah. Guys also go for a lot of stuff. Statistically speaking, men, I think, is 20% more than women are gonna suicide. But more depression rates are within women. You know, so yeah, guys do suffer a lot, and there are a lot of crap that goes on. But you can't really compare. So do you want to solve one, you solve the other. Because the moment you also solve the problems of the majority of the world population, you kind of solve everything else. Racial, economical, sexual, violence, all these sort of things. Because statistically is the highest number. So for me, that would be my biggest issue, is the situation of women around the globe. India has some of the worst treatment of women. The United States has horrible statistics when it comes to treatment of women. In Spain, which is where I know more about this sort of thing because I was doing research, the rates of rape and sexual abuse have gone up a lot since 2017. And there was a case of La Manada that 5 bastards raped this poor 18-year-old girl. And they spent 2 years to put them in jail. And there was a huge debate. People defending them, people saying that the girl was lying, prosecuting the girl instead of them. And then cases like that started popping up. And that's something that pisses me off. Because we're talking about another group of people. And that's literally it. And why do all these things have to occur? So that for me is a theme that really gets to me, but also because I do truly believe that we can solve the equality between the genders, which for me would basically be just, again, my philosophy from before. Forget the superficial bullshit and just get on out, you know? There's one thing which is sexual attraction, there's another thing which is human communication. They intertwine all the time. Sexuality and communication are completely connected, but we need to kind of be able to divide it. And if you solve the problem of the majority, then, you know, the other problems will just fall like domino effect. It's chaos theory. A butterfly flaps its wing and then the tornado will start appearing. So, I don't know. It's an issue that really gets to me because I think that there's so much bad, but there's so much good that can come from solving it. So it's just, I think it's something that should really be on the table seriously nowadays. When you're working with other people and you have to know who is doing what, which day, and changing it so it's not always the same thing, it's good to get used to working in a team. Because like we have the person that organized the kitchen, we have the person that organized the cleaning, we have the person that organized this, that. So getting used to the sort of fluidity when it comes to the teamwork, I think that's very important, because a lot of times people have a lot of difficulty when you're with others to be able to work together without barely having to say anything. So within the team, when you just wake up, you go have breakfast, you see that piece of paper that tells you what you have to do, and you go do it. It's something that creates a responsibility not only in the individual, but also with everyone around him. Because you're not cleaning the bathrooms just for yourself. You're cleaning the bathroom so everyone else can use it. So there's kind of an extra pressure in a sense, because you know that everyone is going to be in there, gonna see kind of the work you did. So I kind of like that. It's kind of annoying every morning at 8 a.m. to have to do the cleanup and all that, and then you have to go to class. But it's good to get used to this sort of thing. And because in life, in the end, everything you do, you have to either do it well or just don't do it. Even if it's the most annoying job in the world. So it's good for me to put my mind straight up in this sort of thing. What can I learn? Well, when it comes to personal things, I believe, well, as I stated before, camaraderie, getting used to people, working together, that sort of thing. When it comes to knowledge, I do have to say I've always been a huge geek. So a lot of the things that we speak about in class, I kind of already, like there are details that I didn't know about, but a lot of it I kind of just already knew. I also come from a family that loves debating everything, from philosophy to history to art to whatever. So a lot of the things that we talk about, like, it's just since I was 10 years old, we've been debating constantly. But I like because the things you learn is the different perspectives. That's one beautiful thing that I like about being with other people when it comes to certain matters, is that you can take the same subject. It's always going to be different, depending on the person. I think that this is kind of like moral relativism. It's, you may believe something may be right, but if the other person believes that the opposite is right, both of them is probably right. I don't buy into moral relativism. I think there's a lot of mistakes in there. But it is interesting when you talk about capitalism, and you may all agree within a certain basis of it, but the agreement will always have a different explanation. And that's something that I love learning, because when you're set in your own ways, you're like a horse, you just don't see the sides. But when you start hearing other people talk, it's just something that really helps you grow intellectually. And that's another thing that I can learn here. And I'd say for last, really taking care of chickens. I have to say, I've never been near a chicken in my life, unless it was on my plate, of course. But yeah, now it's I've cleaned the chicken den, I've given them food, it's pretty fun. I actually like chickens more than for eating. I actually hanging out with them. So that's another interesting thing about here. Like I spoke about what I usually call my superficial bullshit philosophy, which is the one where honestly I don't give a damn where you're from, what race you are, what sexuality you are. And that is a problem with the left nowadays, which is very sad. The political correctness movement, and the internet is gonna love this, but for me it's complete crap. I'm Afro-Latin, my dad's from Africa, my mom's Latina, and I don't like having people always talking like, you know, oh my God, you suffer and, you know, we cannot say anything or do anything or whatever. Communication is the basis of humanity. And I believe everyone should, I cannot remember the name of the guy, but if you just put in Google, guy who converts KKK members, you will find him. He's an African American who goes to leaders of the KKK members, have a conversation with them, and a lot of them stop being KKK and becomes best friends with the guy. Why? Because he has communication. So for me, my message would be that nowadays, with the whole political correctness bullshit, which basically is just that, where Kevin Hart, because of a joke from years ago, cannot host the Oscars, where people cannot make jokes, just out of jokes, you know, if you don't like a joke, then just ignore it, don't attack the person for having humor, and where debate cannot happen. You cannot advance in a society if you cannot share completely opposing ideas. The right wing has always suppressed any other kind of idea. capitalism has made sure, fascism has made sure, democracy, in a lot of ways, has made sure that many ideas cannot come to light. And we criticize that, and we talk about freedom of speech, and we talk about all that kind of thing. But when you start doing the same thing, you've lost. And for me, nowadays, one of the biggest problems is exactly that. That we're doing the exact same thing fascists used to do. If I have a guy that comes to me right now and says that the Holocaust never happened, I'm not gonna punch him in the face. I'm gonna sit him down and I'm gonna be like, okay, let's discuss this. And maybe reach a point in the conversation where he's actually going to see that it did actually happen and it was a very horrible moment in human history. I'm using a very extreme example, but that's the sort of thing that we have to do. You have to calm down and you have to conversate. A lot of people are just afraid. It's not because they're bad. You know, I like to use the example of the anti-vax movement. You can say that it is very stupid, but the people are not. The people are just afraid. It's something they don't understand. It's something that they shouldn't understand because they're not doctors, but they're terrified. They're terrified because every time on the news, all you see is disease, war, hunger, death. You don't see the good things. And when you're surrounded by all of that, you get more and more afraid, and you want to protect your kids from whatever you don't understand. And unless you can have a conversation with them, those kids will not get vaccinated. Or they will keep being neo-Nazis. Or they will still vote for the alt-right. The alt-right in Europe is not coming up because they're really cool. It's coming up because people are terrified. And it's not because people are stupid or ignorant. It's because people want to protect themselves and their families. And if on the other side, all you do is insult and attack them and say, oh, we're politically correct, so we are right, you're just worsening the situation. So that for me would be something that any volunteer or anyone that really wants to make the world a better place has to keep in mind. Dialogue, conversation, and understanding is the only way to move forward. If you're always going to just smack your feet on the floor and be like, no, I'm politically correct, no, you're saying bad things, you're a bad person, you're just exactly like them. It's like a circle, left, right, and the left just kind of did this. Still speaking with the same language, but doing the same exact thing, which is very ridiculous. So yeah, I just took this chance to kind of do my political statement. Hopefully people will vote for me for president next year, but that's pretty much it.